Well, hi, everybody. Welcome to a brand new mini-series that we are calling Hot Topic with Heather and Hayden. My name is Hayden Humphrey. I am a success coach in Chicago, Illinois. So I work one-on-one with people who feel stuck or unfulfilled in their careers and helping them build lives they can be excited about every single day.
Awesome. And I am Heather Parody. I'm the host of the Weekly Parody podcast. And I also work with content creators on their content marketing strategies and the founder of the Content Lab. So putting out content is my passion. I love it. I think it's the most exciting thing in the world. So
awesome. Well, cool. Well, we are super pumped to be here and to be chatting today. Heather and I have known each other for a couple of months, I think since early last year.
I don't even know what day it is. Sure.
And have had some awesome discussions, awesome conversations, and we were talking about collaborating. We were looking for ways to provide additional value for all of you, our network, while also looking for an additional outlet for us to be able to discuss what was going on in our lives, relevant and timely topics. And so we wanted to put this mini-series together. There's no cadence to it. It won't be a regular occurrence necessarily, who knows, but we're just going to go with it, see how it evolves, and regardless, would love to hear from you, what from this resonates with you, what you're taking from it, and anything else that you'd like to see. So the hot topic today is something that Heather and I
like doing my little motions.
Yeah, there you go, hot topic. I've been talking about the past couple of times actually that we've gotten together, and that topic is focus and prioritization. So Heather, I would love to hear how you are currently relating to that topic.
So let's just talk real. Like, let's just be real plain real quick. Right before this call, I looked at my hands and I go, oh my goodness, I forgot to paint my other hand. And I said, oh, I better paint it really fast because I have a call with Hayden. This is going to be recorded. And then I said, you know what? No, I'm not going to, because this is a prime example of my brain. Most of the time is I get started on a project and I get distracted and something gets left incomplete. And so I get frustrated. This is so funny, but this is so real. Like, I get left so frustrated because I feel like there's these half projects everywhere, and including my hands, like, and it's just not complete. And so I've been really trying to practice being more intentional and focused on one thing at a time. Because I think what's hard for me, Hayden, and you tell me, because you're a visionary as well, but being a visionary and a big picture person, it's just like boing, 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 all these ideas and all this excitement and all this passion of things you want to create in the world. And that's incredible, but it's also can cripple you because it's hard to follow through, not get burnt out, and just not go and do things without intention and focus. And then you end up looking like this. So
well, I can't say that's happened to me with the hands.
Hey, you never know, man.
Yeah, who knows? I can definitely relate to that from the perspective of focus, and especially, you and I both being in the somewhat early stages of building businesses and trying to get our feet under us in that way. It's something that I've been struggling with since I left my full-time job, is this concept of what do I need to focus on? And, in turn, what's actually going to give me the biggest return on investment as quickly as possible. Because especially in, with something where I have historically been more of a freelancer, sort of jack of all trades, I've been involved in a couple of different types of businesses. So I was doing photography for a while, I was doing LinkedIn consulting for a while, and now my bread and butter is coaching, but that's even still in the early stages. So when I'm thinking about, I need to, pay my rent next month and, buy food and all that important stuff, I find myself keep getting pulled back into the photography, into the LinkedIn, into, these other things.
Oh, I feel ya. I understand that.
Yeah, it's taking away time from me also to be able to build my coaching business. And so now it's a question of actually taking a really hard look at, what am I saying yes to? What can I say no to? Versus, continuing to spread myself thin in all of these different areas. Because by trying to do all of them, I'm not doing any of them 100%. And so now that's my concept, and that's my focus, moving forward from here, is like, how do I really focus in on the coaching and make sure that that's really the thing that I'm spending with?
I struggle with that because there's the concept of like practicality of just being smart, and then also to having like faith and believing and like kind of, putting yourself out there. Because I know I'm reading again, I've read this so many times, Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. And he tells that story of the dude who wanted to work with Edison, and he just left everything and just went in front of Edison and was like, hey, I'm here. This is my intention and this is what's going to happen. And Napoleon Hill's like, for you to be able to achieve what you want to achieve, you have to put yourself in a position where that is your only option. And that makes sense from a focus standpoint, but also too from like a practical standpoint of just being faithful and putting in the work, and sometimes, you know, using resources like other skill sets you have, like photography or whatever income stream. I can kind of see both sides to it, you know, and I think that's where I struggle. It's like, okay, is this a lack of faith in my part that I'm not focusing in on this? Or is this me being just practical and just trusting the process?
Yeah, it's sort of like a balance of both of those.
Yeah.
And I have been, one of the mentors that I work with, he's basically, his concept for me and something that he shared with me was basically looking at the way that you're doing businesses in sprints. So sort of doing it in like 3-month sprints, and you have something that you're really focused on for 3 months, and you get that built and ready to go. Because there's so much that goes into the initial stages of building a business, and it's all proprietary creation. It's not something that you can go back to because it's brand new and you have to create the actual foundation and the initial structures that the rest of the business is going to sit on top of. But until that's done, it can't really run on autopilot. And so that's sort of the thing, you know, in the first year, 2 years of business, that's a lot of what you're doing, is building those very initial structures. And then once those things are done, then you can sort of let it run on autopilot and systematize it a little bit more without having to worry about like, oh, hey, you know, where am I getting pulled? Where's my attention and my focus going?
Yeah. So how are you trying to stay focused? What are some of your practices right now?
That's a great question. So, you know, I think first and foremost is just continually coming back to, at a high level, the goals that I set for 2019, really the intentions that I set for 2019.
It's March. Can you believe that?
Yeah.
Almost. It's insane.
It's absurd. It's crazy. And it, you know, it's funny because it's gone by so quickly, and yet it's felt like it's been a lifetime since the beginning of the year. You know, I think back a couple of weeks, I'm like, it's crazy. It's already been that long. So part of it is also being really aware and coming back to time and time again the goals that I've set for this year, because then I can know, you know, when I'm out doing something, when I'm going to say yes or when I'm going to say no to something, I can look back and say, well, what am I actually committed to creating this year, and is this aligned with the commitments that I made and the goals that I have, you know, for this year? And that's a little bit more meta and a little bit more macro in terms of how I'm actually thinking about time. And a little bit more granularly, it's actually looking at where is my time going during the week, because I realized that I give my time away a lot, and that has been, you know, part of the thing that's you know, actually achieving the results that I want. And so it's getting really clear on where's my time going and how can I now proactively block time off to ensure that, hey, you know, this afternoon from this time to this time, this is the only thing that I'm working on. And it doesn't matter what comes up. It doesn't matter, you know, who calls and says that they want to have a conversation. I can't do anything because this is my time to, you know, go out and create this sort of thing. And when you do that, it also forces you to get really focused and really efficient and knock things out. There's a principle, I don't remember what it is, the name of it off the top of my head, but it's basically like the amount of work that you have will fill the container that you give it.
Parkinson's law.
Parkinson's law. Yeah, there it is. Yeah. So it's being really intentional about this is the amount of time that I have to complete, you know, X, Y, or Z for the things that I'm working on. So that helps a little bit in focus. The last thing that I do is I'll typically do the night before. I'll look at what are the main things that I need to create or get done or achieve the next day through what I call a top 6 list. So it's basically like, what are the top 6 priorities that I have for the next day? And if I knock those things out, even if I knock 4 or 5 of those out, then I know it was a good day. How about yourself?
Yeah, 100%. Oh, well, practicing, let's say that. First of all, I guess what's hard for me is, since I am primarily in the online, I'm only in the online space. I'm building an online business, and it's centered around like content marketing and helping people with strategies with that. It's a very social space that I'm in, where it's constantly in contact with different people. And it's very easy for me to justify social media time as building a business, because honestly, a lot of my interaction with the clients I work with, and, you know, building a client base, comes from social media. People connect with me. It's insane. I know that sounds weird, but most of the people that end up partnering with me and working with me, I've met online, and it's the coolest thing. But it also is hard because you have to be so freaking disciplined when you are on social media to be intentional with it, because this is not building a business. You know what I mean? Like being intentional conversations with people is actually part of the networking thing. So I mean, so imperfect, but and then two, I have a really active community, which I'm so happy about. And I absolutely love everyone in the community, but also too, wanting to be there for them and like responding to them and commenting to them and being readily available. It's really hard for me to figure out that balance, because I could literally stay online all day long, commenting and talking to people, supporting my community. But then I don't get work done. So the other day I tried this and it was really good, really hard, but I took this and I put it over here and I laid it on my charger and I turned it off. And from, I think it was, I gave myself 1 hour of networking in the morning where I was hyper focused on responding to everybody and all of that. And then I turned it off. And from 9 a.m. till 6 p.m., I didn't get on anything social. And now, granted, when I got on, it was like over 100 notifications and it was like insane. And I'm like, oh my God, but dude, I laid out some work. It was crazy. It was the coolest thing. So that's when I haven't done that since. That was like a few days ago. And I need to start implementing that more in my day. And then two, when I do get on with the intention of, okay, I'm responding to people, I'm cultivating community. I'm not on here to like consume content. You know what I mean? And that's super, super hard. So there's that. And the other thing is I'm so old school. Like I know, and this is my age right here because I'm really old, but I actually like write in a actual book, and I have a single page every single week where it's like I set my intention for the week and really identifying like the big core things that need to be done. Because I'm like, I feel bad. I really want to, produce excellence in my work, but there's so many little details to it. So it's kind of like, okay, do you focus on all the details and provide excellence, or do you just knock down some big things in very imperfectly?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm trying to do the latter, but it's really hard for me. But I think that's helpful, like writing down the big core rocks that need to be, moved in the business, as opposed to putting out fires all day long.
I love that. Yeah, it's more of like a proactive approach versus a reactive approach, and like what's happening to me, versus actually making sure that the actions that you're taking are having a high impact and also super intentional. And I love the piece that you said about removing the phone from your workspace, because it's amazing. It's something that I haven't completely removed my phone from my workspace, but I basically leave it on do not disturb all day.
That's smart.
Which I think has really helped, because it's not this constant like, oh, my phone vibrated, I'm going to check my phone, every like 30 seconds or whatever. So now if I leave it on my desk, but it's on do not disturb, I can work for an hour, 2 hours, knock a bunch of stuff out. And it's like, I'm not even tempted to look at it because I don't even, to me, there's no notifications. Yeah, I think that's super duper important. Cool. Yeah. I love that. So I think the big things that I'm hearing are intentionality, which I think speaks to really setting goals around what is it that you're trying to accomplish this month, this week, this year, within your business, within anything that you're actually trying to do. Actually writing down those priorities and saying, here are the things that I actually need to knock off that are aligned with those intentions and that are aligned with those priorities. And also like removing distractions.
Right.
Which could be your phone, which could be, social media, but being really intentional about saying, here's the amount of time that I'm giving myself to, accomplish or complete these particular tasks. And give yourself that time.
And not being available for everybody all the time. I think that's something I'm really hard on, because like everybody wants to set up a call, and I love talking to people. I do. But when you're constantly setting up these calls to connect with people, dude, it takes up so much of your day. So I started trying, most of the time I'm succeed at it, of only booking my calls on Fridays. And I actually set up a scheduling link just for connection calls. And so when somebody's like, hey, can we jump on a call? I'm like, yeah, here's my link, find a time. And I actually had somebody like get offended by that once, because they were like, oh, I can't talk to you whenever. And I was like, yeah. And it wasn't like a bestie or anything. It wasn't like a friend. It was like somebody who I kind of know, not know. But and I'm like, do you understand that that's the only way? My nails are insane. Focus, everyone. that's the only way I'm able to like give you my full attention and not be stressed out the whole time on the phone. And so I don't know, I think it's kind of a hit and miss. I'm trying to figure out how to do that like in a kind way where it's like, will you schedule a call with me? Because otherwise it's insane. I would be on the phone a few hours a day, you know,
Nonstop. Yeah.
literally.
That's what I was saying earlier. I've realized that I tend to give my time away a lot. And then I look, and especially because it's Chicago, so I'll go downtown and meet somebody for coffee. And it's like I try and pack as many of those like extracurriculars into one day as I can. Because otherwise, I'm on the train for 30, 40 minutes going down there, and then another 34 minutes coming back. And it's like that's all really valuable time that I could be spending, working or doing something impacting my business.
And it's hard because you want to be social. And I know most of it is word of mouth and relationship and network. So it's really hard justifying that and figuring out the balance of it. Like I still struggle with kind of what's the right or wrong with that. I don't know.
It's imperfect. It's practice. I think the funny thing that I'll leave us with, I think we might have talked about this last week, but I was having a conversation with a buddy of mine who just left his job. And we were talking about entrepreneurship, and we were just talking about building a business. And, we were saying there's no real formula in entrepreneurship, but if there was a formula, I think the formula would be how long are you willing to hold on? Like how long are you willing to go through these iterative cycles of understanding what works and what doesn't work for you and just practice and just keep going? Because I think that's really like what it all boils down to, especially with something like focus and prioritization in the beginning. You don't necessarily know what's going to work best for you or your business or your calendar or even physically for your body. And so much of it is just trying something, seeing how it works, reiterating, trying something again, and just continuing to improve and learn.
Pivot constantly. Yeah, 100%. I feel like that's my life. And which is fun. I don't want to keep yakking, but that's funny because so many people get into business and they're like, oh no, this isn't working. I shouldn't be doing this. And I'm like, do you realize it's not going to work? Like that's the part of it is it doesn't work. And that gives you hints of pivoting and trying something else. And guess what? That's probably not going to work either. And so it's a pivot. And like, we have to get comfortable with that. And so people are like, oh, failure. And I'm like, yeah, failure.
But it's about not making it mean something about you.
Exactly.
And that's the biggest piece. That's the piece that really takes practice. And that's, when I talk with people, regardless of if we're talking about building a business or even doing personal development work, and actually learning more about who you are and how you want to create yourself, when you can remove the attachment between failure or results and your sense of self-worth, that's really where the gold is. Because then it's like, then you can just go out and try again and again and again and again and again. And it doesn't mean anything about you personally, but you're learning the entire time. Otherwise, if you step out and fail and think, well, now I'm a worthless, stupid, whatever, you just stop there immediately. And it's no actual progress gets made.
So do you think that's why we have a hard time not focusing? Because we're kind of sabotaging ourselves for failure. Like, I don't want to fail at this. I don't want this not to work. So I'm just not going to do it.
I would agree with that, actually, especially when it comes to prioritization and focus. A lot of times I think it's so much easier to just do the things that we think are good, like staying busy. Like, oh, well, I'm trying really hard in my business because I'm doing all these things. And they're, but they're just the busy activities. Like they're not actually the things that are going to take you from where you are to actually building a business that you can build.
100%.
But a lot of that actually takes ownership and taking a look at like, where are you failing and where's it not working? Yeah.
Boom.
Cool. Wonderful. Well, Heather, it was a pleasure as always.
I love talking
everybody. Yeah. For everybody listening, would love to hear your thoughts, anything that resonated with you, anything that you're taking away. Heather, where can they find you?
HeatherParody.com, @HeatherParody on everything. Yep.
Wonderful. Yes. And for those who are looking to get in touch with me, HaydenHumphrey.com, and Hayden as himself on most social media platforms. So,
love it.
thanks, Heather.
Let me go paint my other hand.
I love it. Yeah.
Okay.
All right. Bye, everybody.
Bye.